Here is an explanation of Newton's 3 laws of motion in an educational, inspiring, and easy-to-understand way. Newton's first law of motion, also known as the law of inertia, states that an object at rest will remain at rest, and an object in motion will remain in motion at a constant velocity, unless acted upon by an external force. In other words, objects will resist changes in their motion unless something pushes or pulls on them. This law helps explain why we wear seat belts in cars, why it's hard to stop a moving object, and why planets orbit around the sun. Newton's second law of motion states that the acceleration of an object is directly proportional to the force applied to it and inversely proportional to its mass. In simpler terms, the harder you push on an object, the faster it will accelerate, and the heavier the object, the harder it is to accelerate. This law helps explain why it's harder to push a heavy object than a light one, and why it takes more force to accelerate a larger object. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In other words, when one object exerts a force on another object, the second object will exert an equal and opposite force back on the first object. This law helps explain why we can walk on the ground, why rockets can take off into space, and why a swimmer can move through the water. Overall, Newton's laws of motion are fundamental principles that help us understand how objects move and interact with each other. They can be applied to everything from the movement of planets to the way a ball bounces, and they have inspired generations of scientists and engineers to explore the world around us.